Okay, let's get down to Stars Reach, which is, of course, the new game that is kind of informed by all these sandbox and systems kind of led ideas of what an MMO should be. You once said in a talk that games eat and swallow and take and blend areas of study to make something new for players to enjoy. What are the major systems and inspirations that Stars Reach is a blend of? And did you design with any sort of thematic limitations in mind that helped you focus that?
The most notable, particularly for audiences who are into the sandboxes, is that this is, some people are called it UO3. It is the spiritual sequel of, I think of this as the third in the series after Ultima Online and Star Wars Galaxies. It pulls from all of those design lessons. So that's one thing. So for people who are out there hoping to see the kinds of gameplay and community and economy and features that were in Galaxies, yep, all there. Plus some things that we're pulling in from UO that didn't make it into Galaxies. Like, for example, UO today has the ability to build buildings out of tiles, whereas Galaxies was monolithic buildings.
Yep.
We have tiles. You can build parts any way you like. So that's first. Second, we pull much more from simulation than maybe almost any game on Earth short of Dwarf Fortress and Noita. Okay. We model every cubic meter of the world and know its temperature, humidity, material, flow rate, adhesion, chemical interactions, state of matter, whether it is liquid, solid, or gas. Like, you can literally superheat rock and evaporate it, and it will float away as gas and then congeal into lava and then fall to the ground, flow as lava, set things on fire, and then congeal and cool back into stone. Everything about the world is malleable. I gotta tell you, dude, it's kind of magical because everything does what you think. Right. Water flows and it erodes riverbanks and they collapse. You're digging through the ground and cave-ins happen. Monsters fire heat beams or whatever at you, and they hit the ground and blow craters and set the ground on fire, and trees catch fire in response and burn down, and then the trees grow back later. Okay, like, the whole world is actually alive. You can melt your way through a glacier to find the hidden alien laboratory inside. Everything reacts the way you expect. And you can just go ice skating in the winter if you want, right? Like, that works too. If the dirt gets too wet, it turns to mud and your feet get stuck in it. So all the things that you've seen at the beginning of fantasy novels or sci-fi novels, oh, we got snowed in at the tavern, that actually can happen, right? When Gandalf says you shall not pass and collapses a rock bridge, that actually happens in our game. You can do that, right? Mm-hmm. So all these things that in most games are set pieces, handcrafted, here they are emergent, and we don't have to hand code them. They happen organically in the game without us special casing everything. And that means that the game can be fresh and unpredictable and at the same time feel like a real world. So that's inspiration number 2. And then third might seem out of left field, but MMOs have they've almost crawled up their own ass. I don't know how else to put it. They've gotten too intricate, complex, so many buttons on screen, full of terminology that only hardcore MMO players can even follow, right? Like all these 3-letter acronyms and, and that means they've gotten less accessible. They're harder for people to get into. Well, I want the feeling of stepping into an alternate world to be accessible again, right? And so we pull a lot of inspiration from simpler games. And a key thing that really hammered this home for us was when Breath of the Wild came out, and it crammed an entire sandbox, right? With all of that implies. You can cook things, you can do tailoring, you can, all of those things are in Breath of the Wild. And they don't even have a HUD, right? That was revelatory. It's like, oh, yeah, we need a sandbox MMO in the world that is this easy to play.
Right.
It still
Yeah.
has all the depth, but it needs that level of ease, right? And so because of that, we have action arcadey combat, and we have, super streamlined UI and a bunch of other things that pull from the lessons of console games, of modern games, and the streamlining that we've done. And then I'll name the fourth thing, which is none of this would be possible to put in a package without modern cloud technology. So we can do the simulation. We can give you the ability to modify everything. We actually stream down bits of the game, like your game install streams down asset by asset. So we can update your game without patching. We can add game features to the game without taking the server down or kicking you out of the client. And we can clear things out of your cache because we're inspired by how the web works. It would suck if Amazon had to patch Chrome every time they added something to their catalog. But that's how video games work. Okay? So we built our architecture for modern internet. Right. And it's a dream building games in a system that works more like the web. It makes us way more efficient, and it allows us to deliver gameplay to players faster. We get to iterate more, which means we find the fun better. And it'll help us deliver better live service. So that's the recipe behind all of Stars Reach. Those four things.
It sounds like you're rivaling the Powerpuff Girls for just a great melange of things that are going into a game.
I do believe this is the way games should be made. And I believe that things like the simulation technology that we're doing, I think it changes how games are made completely.